Hi, Baba. How are you doing? Thank you so much for coming in to be with us.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to share the knowledge and the wisdom of the elders and the ancestors with our people locally and globally.
I know. I feel really happy. I feel really happy with to have someone like you coming in and having a talk with us. You are very knowledgeable and you live in integrity on a high level that I really recognized and admire. So I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for, blessing us, blessing us, but the body temple with your presence. Um, and I would like people to get to know a little bit more about you. So if you can give us an introduction of who you are, what you do, um, and what makes you who you are, that will be amazing.
Uh, I'm still learning who I am.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, because growing up under colonialism in South America, Guyana, and not knowing much about myself, and even up to today, a lot of my brothers and sisters, my biological brothers and sisters, I look at them and I know they don't know much about themselves. And then we produce children, and we don't have the knowledge to pass on to our children because our minds are colonialized, our
Mm-hmm.
education is colonialized, our religion is colonialized, our food, our culture, our habits in terms of intellect and education, what they call education.
Mm-hmm.
All these things that were taught us is to just go and get a job and work for the slave master or the ex-slave master. It's still it's some form of system that it just has a working mentality instead of producing mentality and developing our communities, our countries, our towns, our cities, and our states. We just tend to be working for the colonial masters in England, producing for them and doing their biddings. They call civil servants or civil service and things of that nature. So it's a lot to talk about in terms of that specifically, but that's where it started with me. A colonial subject praising the king and the queen all the way in
Mm-hmm.
England. And nobody taught me to praise my mothers and my grandmothers and grandfathers and fathers in Guyana, but just
Mm-hmm.
to say the praise to somebody else, but not our own elders, our own mothers and fathers, our
Mm-hmm.
what you call our transition elders and our community elders.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones
Mm-hmm.
that we should be praising and giving thanks to and
Mm-hmm.
honoring them, even when they transition, because those are the ones that took care of us down there for the last 3.5, 4.5, 500 years, dealing with
Mm-hmm.
the colonial shit stem. So
Yeah.
I evolved from that to America. It was pretty a beautiful life in Guyana and beautiful life in America. I learned so much coming to North America and learn about so many things, the whole spectrum of life living here, about society, how the societies run and operate, the governmental systems that is put in place and the control systems. And lots of people not able to develop themselves mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually. Just get up and go to work and go to school and go to church and eat, drink, dance, and be merry, hang out and they call it weekends, Saturdays and Sunday and holidays, Fridays, Mondays a holiday, extra 2, 3 days. A lot of eating and drinking and partying and sex and things of that nature. And so
Yeah.
not very grounded stuff, not very grounded, not very
No.
good for raising children or raising families.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was from 1970 I got here. Now it's now it's 2023. I'm here in South Florida. Spent quite a lot of time in New York City, the tri-state area, Jersey, Connecticut. It was real beautiful. It was really beautiful experience, and I've learned a lot, and I've come a long way in terms of learning about myself. Who am I? What's my purpose here? Things of
Mm-hmm.
that nature. So I'm at a point where I realized that I'm here to serve humanity. I'm here to
Mm-hmm.
serve people. I'm here to serve the community.
Mm-hmm.
And also protect our environment, Mother Nature, Mother Earth, not to be destructive to her, because she's the one that provides us with everything. Otherwise, to our mother, because we call our women, our mothers, our grandmothers, great grandmothers. They were the ones that was our nurturers. The men plant the seed in them, and they bring forth the fruit, which is us. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm very proud to say that I've come this path, and I feel pretty good. I'm proud about myself, and I can do I can do a lot for others, because others have done quite a lot for me, and I was able
Mm-hmm.
to share this with everybody, because I
Mm-hmm.
met the people from DR, PR, Cuba, uh, Colombia, Ecuador, all up and down South and Central America, Brazil. Met people that I never knew that was living in Guyana. Then I met the Bajans, the Trinidadians, Jamaicans, Leeward, Windward Island, and then the New Yorkers, people from New York, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Georgia, Mississippi, all the way up north, down south, east, west, all the way to Canada. I was able to meet a lot of people in that area they call New York City. And I met all my teachers and the people that guide me and showed me another way of living instead of partying on Saturdays and drinking and having fun. And now when I get up in the rising, my purpose is who can I help? How can I serve? So I started that in New York, my path. I started learning this holistic way, more about the plants, even though in Guyana, I was taught about the plants, but not knowing that they were teaching me, because they called me a gopher. So go for this and go for that, do this, do that. And so it was all beautiful. So it turned out in America that I was a gopher also. Go for everything, get everything done, go to school, go to church. And so I learned to deal with herbs and foods and plants at another level. And
Mm-hmm.
it made a better person out of me also, keep me peaceful, more
Mm-hmm.
calm, more relaxed, no more drinking, no more smoking, not even ganja, stuff like. I never smoked cigarettes. I was never a big drinker, but I
Mm-hmm.
um I did smoke some ganja back in New York. And, eventually I realized that I love my lungs better than the ganja. Yeah, so I actually stop, and people like Dr. Africa and other learned elders, they talk about the smoking, and you got to have some balance in your life, and too much of one thing is good for nothing. And
Yeah,
yeah, you got to
it
have
is
balance.
true.
And so
It
I
is
am
true. I
here
kind of
now
have a
to
little bit of the
ask
same
all you the
problem.
questions. Yeah, I call them issues and events in my life. I used to have problems. I don't have any more problems.
No more
I'm
problems.
not.
I want to be like you.
Celebrity.
I want to be like you so bad.
Yeah, I am not. I'm just
I
having
want to get there.
events in my life, and all these events are teaching me, because there's issues in the events, and I have to use these events and the issues to resolve situations and compromise and do as much good as I can with the knowledge that I'm keep gaining. Because, and I'm going to be 70 July the 2nd now, this year, and so I'm still learning. I'm still a baby with this whole
Yeah.
process. Yeah, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I'm still humbling myself to do the work.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I actually understand that. I understand that. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction of yourself. So, I wanted to ask you, there is something that I have noticed, because I am also not from here, from the United States. I am originally from Peru. So coming here was like a different culture, and I always been into health and things like that, but um here in in Peru is like the health is just something that happens almost, but because most of our food is, at least when I was there years ago, it may have been changing. I've heard it has changed some actually in some industries, but the food was quality and organic, and had its nutritional value and all of that. And something that I noticed when I came to the United States was that the quality of the food, it is so bad. It's so bad. It gives you allergies, like you can't digest it. Like the quality of the food is just not good for the human body. And that is, to me, I feel really sad about that. And I think people need more understanding of what does it mean to have good quality nutrition, and what is quality food here. And I know like you are really knowledgeable about that, so I would like to maybe know, for the people listening that maybe don't know, um what does it mean to have a quality diet or a quality food? What do you think about the food here in the States, and what can we be doing to have a better nutrition in this system?
There was a documentary by PBS on YouTube about around the 1900s, early 1900s, where there's a lot of food production was going on. It was providing food for the army, and a lot of the food they were providing by the manufacturers. I don't know if they had the knowledge or they didn't have the knowledge about canning and preserving food. And so they was doing a lot of that. And most of the food that they were canning and preserving and selling in containers was becoming toxic, poisonous, and it was no good for consumption. And so there was people start to report about that. And then the corporations was providing these services. They had the lobbies in the back pocket, and the government people in the back pocket. So they was providing a lot of contaminated food to the American people way back in the early 1900s, 1901, 1902, 1908, 16, 17, up inside there. And then people start lobbying and talking to the congressmen and the senators and against what was happening. So eventually they start to have the federal government, to pass rules and regulations to start protecting their citizens, to get more healthier foods. They form organizations, the Food and Drug Administration, all those different types of things. They do a lot of food testing and making sure that the food that the people are eating, that was a better quality food. But now what happened is that fast forward to late 1900s, all the 20th century, now it's 2023. Now there's a lot of rumors out there where they have elevated those types of food packaging, and it's all out there on YouTube. A lot of information about food that has been very destructive to the human body. And so now they're doing it at another level where the food is being processed with mRNA, and they're using all kinds of different chemicals. They move on from Ciba-Geigy, Dow Chemicals, and those other companies that like Monsanto that were producing different forms of chemicals and encouraging farmers to switch up to their seeds and Roundup and their herbicides and pesticides, and tell them they can get a higher yield. That turned out to be a big hoax in places like India and other parts of the world. But they're still out there pushing those different types of systems, and it's causing a lot of people a lot of headaches. And then the food, after World War II, when they start using more chemicals in the food and the chlorine or the chlorides in the water and things of that nature, and they're telling people one story, but it had another effect on people and children, like things like your teeth, and those things were toxic and poisonous, like aluminum. They're telling you today that it, it affects your brain, aluminum. And they're not learning from their past lessons. That's what's happening. They're not learning from their past lessons. As European white people, today they call themselves white people in the Midwest, and they call it the Rust Belt. A lot of those young white boys and white girls, they don't have the impetus or the energy, or they didn't get it from their parents. because the technology is moving so fast. They haven't learned how to operate out of the blue collar construct into technology construct, like learning to operate and run computers and do jobs calls a lot of technical skills. So a lot of young people, they're on drugs. And that's another decadent way of looking at how the society is going. And then the foods that they're providing with the people, because when they're starting to use all the chemicals after World War I and II, with the farming, and so they call it the topsoil, anyway from 15, 20, 30 feet down, they call it the topsoil, and then they call another set of soil above is called the overburden. So they have to clear those types of soils away so they can plant food. And so now they use the chemicals for such a long period of time that the topsoil become like sandy. The wind blows away the soil because it doesn't have nutritional value anymore. It's lacking the copper, the calcium, the magnesium, the manganese, all the different minerals that you need in the soil, and the microbiome in the soil also. They need the energy in the soil. You need the bacteria in the soil. And so those things are a manifestation of chemicals that they use after World War I and II, and they use it in food production. So people still going to the supermarket and buy food. Even before then, the people was doing some kind of kitchen garden, backyard gardening, and most of the farmers was using the regular manure, cow manure, goat, whatever, without chemicals, and just growing their food normally. So then they start bringing in the chemicals, and now the foods are not organic anymore. So these foods are pesticide laced, and then they start to come up with a lot of chemicals to protect the food in its traveling from point A to point B to point C to point D into your kitchen. And so now they use chemicals to do that also, things like wax and stuff, so preserve the foods that they wouldn't spoil quick. So then they start creating more chemicals in the laboratory, so when the food is grown, it wouldn't spoil quick. And so it's a whole litany of stuff that we can talk about this for another 6 months. So it all evolved to what's happening right now, that a lot of the foods that we're eating are lacking in macro and trace minerals. So we need to supplement. We need to buy supplements, but not any kind of supplement. We need to buy the supplements that is going to take the place or give you the necessary nutritional needs that your body needs, that you're not getting from the fruits, the nuts, the berry, and the seed, the rice, the grains, and the vegetables and things of that nature. So you need to supplement. We all need to supplement, but we don't want to buy any kind of supplement. We want to do the research or pre-search and the work and make sure that we get the quality stuff, not some kind of chemical supplement. So we want to get supplements that's coming from natural sources like nuts and fruits and seeds and berries and things of that nature, and from nature like sea moss and seaweed and all those types of things in a natural sense. But at the same time, we have to also look at how they're polluting the ocean too. A lot of vehicles are on the ocean, a lot of ships, steam ships, cruise ships, and they're polluting the ocean a lot more. They're harvesting more fish out of the ocean. The nuclear waste is going in the ocean. The fish is becoming contaminated. The ocean is becoming contaminated because the fish is there and the fish is in the water. And so the fish is water. So the fish is eating what's in the water, and the fish is becoming contaminated also. So there's a whole lot of litany of stuff also in the ocean with the food that we have to eat from the
It's
ocean.
so bad. Like, it's really bad. It's
Well,
really bad. Like, a lot of the systems of health, I'm sorry, but to me, I don't know. It just makes, I can't just make sense of, things not being good for the human body, and not really caring about that. Like, I that goes beyond my understanding. Yeah, I feel confused. And it's not just in the food, like you're mentioning so many like good information and so much like um things that you don't even need to know the information to just kind of like see it on the quality of the food, like how the tomato is, like how that what like the color of it, the taste of it. um if you come from eating different quality of food, like from another country, like it's totally different. I literally develop allergies here for what's it called? Harina, wheat. That is in the, I can't remember how you say harina in English.
So you're talking about
The
you
gluten. It's wheat. It's wheat.
you're talking about you were talking about the plants, the pollen seasons, like in the spring with the pollen, or you're talking about
No, no, like the food
okay,
itself. No, the food itself. Like wheat. What's wheat? The thing that is the bread is made of?
yeah, wheat.
Wheat. Yes. Okay. Yes. So I can't eat wheat bread here in the United States. But if I go to Europe, I can eat it. If I go to Peru, I can eat it. But here, I can't eat it.
It's possible that they in Peru they probably don't use. I don't know if they use flour there, but they don't go to flour there. Wheat there, so they have stuff like amaranth and quinoa there, and they have like cassava
Yeah,
and
they
stuff,
have quinoa too, but they use flour. They use wheat.
but they don't grow no flour there. The
There
flour,
you go.
oh, flour doesn't grow, or wheat doesn't grow in any part of the world. It only grows in certain regions of the world, and then it has to be shipped there. Like in Guyana,
Mhm,
no, wheat don't grow in Guyana. They ship the flour they will get from the wheat. So they have the first you they'll have the what you call the whole grain flour, right? All the everything hook up in there, the fiber and everything. Then they switch it up. They call it white flour, right?
mhm,
Then they give it another name. And then they have they got like 3, 4, 5 different names of the flour, but the
mhm,
flour was normally, or the wheat is normally like it's a brownish, darkish, brownish color, and then
mhm,
they bleach it. It's just like the sugar. When they're making the sugar from the sugar cane,
mhm,
it's a syrup and it's dark in color. And by the
mhm,
time they finish processing that and they cook out, dry out all the moisture, then it becomes like a paste. And then they put it in it's a vat or a dehydrator, and they get all the moisture out of it. And the color is still brown. So
mhm,
now they don't, for whatever reason, they don't want it brown. So they bleach it. They
mhm,
bleach it, right? The molasses is the waste product of the cane juice. The molasses, so they say it's rich in iron and calcium and magnesium minerals. So people still use that, but that's a waste product. That's like the bees and the honey. That's a waste product. But people use it, so if they want to use it, fine. They can still use it. Not the issue with me. But the point is that these products are shipped overseas, and
mhm,
what's happening in Central America, South America, and throughout the islands and Africa and other parts of the world. European people take raw materials from all over the world, and they start producing products because they had to do that during the war. Because when you're fighting the war, you got to feed the soldiers. So you have 1 million, 2 million people to feed. So they had to find a way to prepare food that wouldn't spoil. So that's
mhm,
how we start getting supermarkets with packaged foods. Supermarkets didn't have packaged food going back in the past. So that
mhm,
came about after the war. So they started now selling these things to supermarkets, and then they sell it to the public. So what we have to understand is that all is not really lost. It's just that we have to have this conversation and
mhm,
keep talking about these subject matters and open up people's hearts and minds so they can start doing what they got to do to take care of themselves. Like going back to the days 100 years ago when your grandmothers and great grandmothers and grandfathers and uncles, they were planting food in the backyard. And you got to start doing
mhm,
that all over again. So because they haven't gotten to a point in America where the food is not maintain a healthy population. The
mhm.
population
Do
is
you,
more and more.
I have a question, Baba. Do you think that that should be done in community? Like that should be done like in your neighborhood, you know? So kind of like almost it's like a community thing because it's a lot of work and a lot of people will like the structure, like, you know, the financial structure of the United States. Like that almost seems like impossible, you know, because people are tired, you know, people just want to go home after work, people are sad. You know, they want to just numb themselves. I think like a way to start, I think it will be better if it's done in community, but then also you will have the problem that there is no community really. So where do
Well,
we start?
I,
Like that's my question. Like, where do we start?
yeah, we have community. There's lots of people in America and other parts of the world are realizing that what's happening with our food, our education, our job situation, working to earn money is now working.
It's not
Not everybody's
working.
going to be able to work. Not everybody's going to be able to work because there's not enough work for everybody. They can always have, because there was no such thing as employment and unemployment. All that was created through the system that was created by the Europeans, by the colonial masters. So they created this system, and this system evolved through manufacturing and distribution. And now you have the artificial intelligence age, where a lot of machines is going to be doing a lot of the work, and a lot of people are not going to be doing the work. So there's always going to be unemployment. And so
Yeah.
now what happened is that people have been so confined and conditioned to just get up, go to school, go to church, go to work, go to the clubs and parties, go back home, and redundancy. They're just doing the same thing every day. But then there's another set of people, a very small percentage of the people, especially the people in the country, up in the Midwest and in the country part of the South and the North and the Northeast. A lot of people are growing food. They call them CSAs. There's people are organizing with farmers to grow organic food. So people got to get involved. People want to get in. If they want to eat healthier, they want healthier food, they have to get involved. They have to go there. You got to have the impetus. They got to go there and go to the libraries, go to the agriculture department, go to a community organization, find out what's going on in the community if you want the fresh food, because the people are doing those things, and it's a shift in the wind. It's a change coming. In spite of what the big corporations are doing, a lot of people are moving away from those types because people are realizing like it's messing up with their heart, with their liver, with their lungs, with their kidneys. They're going on dialysis, they're getting high blood pressure, they're getting diabetes, they're getting inflammation, they're getting womb problems, prostate problems, sexual problems, because most of the foods do not have the necessary nutrients inside of them, the necessary phytochemicals, vitamins, minerals, because the soil is lacking of those things. So the plants that are in the soil is not able to pick up the nutrition from the soil, the minerals, because it's not there. So it's still planting, it's still growing, it's still using chemicals, and they're still sending these things to the factories and to the supermarket from the factories. And everything is packed and look nice and clean, but it necessarily has the necessary nutritional value that your body needs. So I keep emphasizing people have to check out supplements and start making an effort to get the proper supplements in the system, food combining with the supplements, and eating within a certain time span also.
It shouldn't be necessary that we need supplements, but I suppose that's just the way it is right now. So we should just, should be going with it right now and try to not die in the process of, reconstructing things back. Because it's gonna take a lot of time, right?
It's taking a little time.
So we still have to do the supplements right now, even if we actually shouldn't actually need them.
Yeah. I've been doing supplements for over 30 years.
Yeah.
Because my teachers and my elders, all the information they taught us, and then there's a lot of people in America and other parts of the world that is doing a lot of research, and creating information systems and sharing it with the public. So now the public, which the public is the people that is not in government or is not in corporations that making those decisions. So those individually and collectively, they start come together, make decisions. They start in CSA. They're organizing with farmers.
That's so awesome, like the people itself take responsibility for the people of themselves and around them, and just some type of responsibility, and that actually does help.
Is the people have to take responsibility for themselves and their health. Not everybody's going to do it. So some people, if you tell them the meat is contaminated or the beef or the chicken or the fish is contaminated, and it's not something that you should be eating, that is full of chemicals. And they don't want to listen if you tell them that they got to get off of meat because of whatever reason, it's not good for your health. They don't want to get off it. Some of them say, I'd rather die than get off of my meat. So a lot of the foods probably have what they call addictive chemicals inside of them. It's like the cigarette with the nicotine. People just smoke the cigarette, even though the note is not good for them. They have a warning on the cigarette packaging. And then most people, when they go to buy their food, they don't read the label in any way. So there's a lot of the chemicals they use to preserve the food. It's still no good for them. Then there's a lot of food that's also still canned and packaged in metal containers. So sometimes these containers are also contaminating the food in the container. And so it's a lot of work to be done. It's a lot of organizing. It's a lot of sharing. And people are waking up, but not fast enough. And the ones that are waking up, those are the ones that's going to be able to sustain and maintain themselves in the
People are
next
so asleep,
30.
Baba. People are so asleep. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's why we're here to wake them up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Yeah, we got to talk to them. We got to talk to them with love and gratitude, and we got to talk to them with compassion. We can't be too rough with them, because
That's
a
true.
lot of people, you don't want to babysit them, by the way, you don't want,
Yeah, that's true. Neither
but they got the
or.
full responsibilities.
Yeah. Yeah. So I personally think that's the best way. And it can be a hard way, because even I think we're asleep not just, to the system, but sometimes we're asleep to ourselves,
Right.
to our own selves, and certain parts of ourselves we still can see completely. And that is, I suppose, part of like the humbleness of just, maintaining yourself in curiosity, maintaining yourself in service, and trying to maintain yourself on even just love and have respect, and do, even let go of people, you know so we can love each other, from the heart, and just like we just need some space. So I think sometimes, yeah, whereas I think that's the part that a lot of the work needs to be done, in my opinion too. And that can be hard sometimes without guidance. It can be hard sometimes without faith. And just like thinking about something bigger that exists. It doesn't even have to be a specific thing, but just like a force, at least in my opinion, that we come back to, just a force that we come back to when we die, whatever that is.
Right.
I don't know, but I have the sense that when I die, I just go into some type of force. So I'm just gonna stick with that one.
Now look at this guy, this elder brother transition, Marcus Messiah Garvey. He said he's gonna come back in the whirlwind. He said he's gonna come back like a thief in the night and wake you up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. You got work to do. And so
Yeah.
this change is happening because people are waking up, and the ones
Yeah.
that are waking up, those are the ones going to get the benefits from the work that they're going to have to do by
Yeah.
root seeds, making sure that the soil is organic. They're not using no chemicals. And you also have to think in terms of also in the homes that we're living in, the clothes that we're wearing, all that's causing pollution. A lot of us just go and buy things and realize that to make these things is causing a lot of pollution in places in Thailand and the Philippines up in there, and they call it the Ring of Fire, where they have the Asian countries where people are doing a lot of factory work and doing a lot of production for manufacturing and distribution for clothing and other things, electronics and stuff like that. So they're creating a lot of pollution up in those areas, making those components and those parts and those fabrics. And so they had those same issues in America. In the Midwest, they call it Rust Belt. So they have elevated and move on from the Rust Belt. So there's a lot of towns and villages and cities I'll call you back. I have to set, let me set this up here. This is disturbing, distraction. Okay. And so like I was saying, in the Midwest, in the Rust Belt, they have evolved into more modernization, modernity in manufacturing and distribution. So a lot of those peoples in those areas, they was just like when the auto industry, the factories was closing down in places like Michigan and Detroit and other places. And a lot of people was laid off. And so then they have issues with, because the system works with money, currency, circulation. And so that they have issues with the real estate market failing, the stock market failing, and everything shuts down. And then they have to reboot and start it all over again. So all that had an effect on the production of food, people having money to buy food and things of that nature. And so what we have to understand is that these things are teaching people a lot of lessons. So going back the last 20 years, 30 years, a lot of people have started to connect with farmers to grow food. A lot of people start to grow more food in their backyard. And then people are becoming more wise. They start with vegetarianism being around over 100 years in America and other parts of the world. Places like India, a lot of people are still vegetarians. And so a lot of people don't eat meat and they're still living, they're living for centuries. So not everybody eat meat. In America, people never used to eat a lot of meat 100 years ago. And meat was not one of the most important thing on the plate. Was a balanced diet, like they have the starch, they have the greens, if it's just cabbage and carrots, and then they have a piece of meat or something like that, or chicken, stuff like that. Some places they'll have pork. And so certain places in Europe, they do a lot of pork because they didn't have a lot of fruit trees and greens over there going back a couple of hundreds of years. So now they have more access to food growing in other parts of the world. So they're shipping foods overseas to other parts of the world. And so, but in America, seeing that we're talking a lot about America, but it's the same story for other parts of the world. So people are changing. There's a change in the wind. There's a change in the air. And people want to be healthy. So they are doing Qigong, Tai Chi, yoga, Shiatsu, they're doing Reiki. They're exercising more. And they don't eat late like before, like they say in America, 7 o'clock is the dinner hour. And they don't know that the digestive system sets after the sunset. I didn't know that either. And so we would eat food at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. You'll go to a party on the weekends and we eat food at a party at 12 and 1 o'clock at night. And all that's going against our digestive system, the function of our digestive system. And because that stuff doesn't work when the sun sets. When it gets dark, the digestive system is not as efficient. It kind of like shuts down. And cleansing and getting yourself ready for the next day activities. And the digestive system is more optimal functioning during the hours of 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock before the sunset or around when the sun set. So those are the times when we should eat the most heaviest foods. And so the digestive system needs to rest at night when the sun sets. So all those things we don't know. We don't know that we're not supposed to eat at 12 o'clock and then snack at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. So we go to the supermarket or the bookstore, and at the counter, the cash register where you're checking out, you're buying snacks, all kinds of different snacks, and you got snacks in your car, you got snacks in your office, snacks in the factory. You take your lunch or your dinner to work, and you're taking snacks with it. So you eat your lunch or your dinner, you go out to eat out, or you might take it to work, and then less than an hour or 2 hours, then you're snacking again. So the food is not getting to digest. So there's a lot of constipation in America. Mental constipation, physical constipation. People are literally dying from constipation because they're eating and eating and eating, and they're literally becoming full of shit. That's John Wayne, Elvis Presley. When they died, they had 30, 40 pounds of shit inside of them. So they were literally full of shit. And so they died from not shitting.
Okay, this is a good segue, I think, because a lot of people don't know what exactly is even good for their bodies, and even like certain seasons and how that actually affects the way that your body processes food, and also how like the nutritional value of the food. And so I know we're entering to summer, and one of the things that you love to talk about, yes, correct, the summer solstice event. Yes, correct. Yes.
This is
I promoting Baba.
we're still in the spring. It's going to
Yeah.
finish around the 18th and 19th of June.
Mhm.
And at the
Mhm.
bottom is going to be the summer. It's in Fort Lauderdale, and everybody's invited. We're teaching people to go back to the ways of the ancestors and eat within the seasons, because the seasons provide us with the food for those 3 months. And at the same time, it provides the foods for the organs and glandular system for those months also. I didn't know that also. So this is the Northern Hemisphere, and the food that's provided for the spring is all the berries. In the springtime, you should only be eating that for the next 3 months. And when the summer comes, the fruits for that period, it only comes around that time from June to September, which is peaches and plums and nectarines and mangoes and stuff like that. Those are the foods that are available around that time. They don't come any other time. If you see them in the supermarket, that means they're coming from another country or another part of America. So no mangoes is growing in New York. So right now in New York and Pennsylvania and Washington, D.C. and Virginia and those places, uh, Connecticut, all the way up to Canada, the foods that grow there right now is what you call raspberries, strawberries, and blueberries, and also mulberries. And those foods are available to take care of your organs, like, for instance, your intestines and your liver in the springtime. The dandelion only comes up around this time of the year, springtime, going back in April, May, and it just comes up out of the earth. And it happens every year. They call it a weed. It's not a weed. It's very good for cleaning out your liver, and also good for your blood and things of that nature. And so in the wintertime, everybody's hibernating. In the wintertime, they say the back here, that's the winter over there. Animals are hibernating, people are hibernating, but in modern society, people work during the winter. But the wintertime, you're not supposed to be doing a whole lot of work. This is a time for reflection and planning and organizing and planning for the spring. And this is the autumn. This is the end of the summer. And then the end of the summer, we get the autumn, and then the foods for the autumns are associated with the foods for the winter. So in the autumn, you take care of your organs and glandular system associated with this time of the year, and this deals with your lungs, preparing your lungs for the winter. You don't need a flu shot. You need to get the herbs and start using them. Come September, October, November, come December, you're strong. Onions, garlic, cayenne pepper, turmeric, and moving whole hung, elderberry, sea moss, sage, all the herbs, marshmallow, all the herbs that is good for your respiratory system and your immune system. Podiaco, echinacea, things, all of those. You need to start using them a lot in the autumn, and then when the winter comes, that deals with your kidneys. And so it deals with the winter. So in this time of the year, they call it a seasonal affective disorder. This time of the year, they call it South American diet too, but South American diet is all year round. But SAD means seasonal affective disorder. And so that means that you got to take care of your body in the autumn. So when the winter comes, you're ready to take care of your business, especially for your kidneys. And in the kidneys, you got to stay warm. You got to keep things circulating, because the whole biological system of function is a system of circulating. Things got to keep moving inside there. So if things are not moving inside there, they call it coagulation and constipation, mental constipation and physical constipation. The foods you're eating is clogging up your arteries and your capillaries in your veins. Your meridian pathways is getting clogged up. Your lymphatic system is getting clogged up. Your heart can't pump the blood because the arteries are clogging up. Because when it gets cold, all the animals hibernate. They fatten themselves and get themselves ready for the winter. They lower their heart rate. But it's a modern society, and they want to make money. So people just eating what they want, doing what they want. They got fast food out there. And then when winter come, everybody's running to the emergency room. They call it the trauma center,
Yeah.
cold and fever and stuff like that. So this project here is a very important project that we have been doing this to help the people throughout America, North America. We
Mm-hmm.
work also in the Southern Hemisphere project also to help people in those areas
Oh,
because
that's so
a
awesome,
lot of people
Baba.
in Central America, South America, and the Caribbean, and those people have been adapting to the ways of the Western society and philosophy and ideology, thinking like the West. They want their clothes, they want their religion, they want their food, and they're all getting high blood pressure and diabetes and
I know.
those people
More
down in
people should be like you, Baba.
maybe talking about
We
you
need
might
more
start talking
leaders
about
like you. Like, where are the leaders like you, Baba?
that's why we're doing this program. There's a lot of beautiful people in Central and South America and in the islands, in the so-called Caribbean. I don't like to call it that because in no place called the Caribbean. It's called the islands. That's where they came and they colonized the indigenous people, and then they still have a control over those people down there with the hegemony and the way of thinking and for production and uses of the natural and raw materials. So those people are under some kind of control, the banking system, the judicial system, all the different systems that they created is creating chaos and confusion in the whole world. So we're looking to get our people that is living in North America right now is to start going back to the ways of the elders in North America because they never had a supermarket, they never had a grocery store, they never had a refrigerator or an ice maker. Everybody used to eat in the season only. They never used to eat no food coming from Brazil or Paraguay or Colombia or Australia or Europe in any way. The only eat what was right here on this land. And there's people been here before the Europeans, thousands of years. Indigenous people,
Yeah.
African people, and all they used to
Yeah,
eat
but you
here.
know what happens, Baba, is like as humans, I think we just like to give into our pleasures. Yeah. Humans just like things that are like pleasurable and like they just want to feel good. You know,
Yeah,
let
like
let me
smoking and
have this one
drinking.
because even if it's not the season, I can have it, and I can have it, and not just I can have it, I can have it right now, and I'm gonna have it cheap.
What about moderation?
Yeah. So I think that that's part of the problem too. And I think all of us are actually guilty of that. I mean, maybe you're not anymore. But I
Guilty of
think
what?
uh
Guilty of what?
guilty of like giving into, for example, like the pleasure of wanting or craving a food that is not in the seasons,
Or it's not good for you.
that is not good for you. Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, humans just we just give into pleasure, you know, and that's kind of like sometimes what, and I think it's just like a distortion of pleasure because I think it's just not well understood and sometimes it just takes time. I don't know if it's just part of the journey, but I have seen that you can oh my god, the idea left my brain.
It's still inside there. Pull it out.
Okay. um Yeah, so I was saying as humans, we give into pleasure. So I think that is part of the problem. Even if it's not good for us, sometimes we get into pleasure. Oh, because maybe we really don't understand what like pleasure really is in our bodies. And it's almost like we just have like this like memory of like what supposedly pressure is, but it's just almost like a set point of just how our nervous system is. And if you actually like change like that set point when it comes to your pleasure and your nervous system, that you can actually see the difference on pleasure. It's almost like a deeper, more wholesome type of pleasure. But I don't know if I think a lot of us are just not so familiar with it inside of us.
Well, they say they have the endocrine system. You have the chakra systems. You have the cardiovascular systems. You have the brains producing hormones. then you have things like serotonin and dopamine, things that make you sad, make you feel happy. And the science is saying all these things right now about our bodies. So, but before the science came up with these words to use, you already know when you eat something, how you feel. Because it's
Yeah.
inside of you. The sweet, the taste is on your tongue. Your tongue is a sensor. The tongue will pick up the taste. So they call it sweet, or doshas in India, right? They call it sweet, they call it sour, they call it salt, they call it bitter. On the sides of your tongue have these sensors at the back of your tongue and at the tip of your tongue. They have these sensors. And
Mm-hmm.
so your tongue, people use the tongue to stimulate a lot of different things, right? So there's a lot of stimulation out of the tongue. And out of the tongue, you better watch what you say. Out of the tongue can come wisdom or chaos. So you got to
Yeah.
watch what words you're using, because you
Yeah.
also play a role in your mental health, emotional
Yeah.
health. You have to watch what you're thinking. So because of how the society has evolved in the last couple of 100 years, people have allowed society to condition them. Like
Yeah.
before the Europeans came here, I deal with religion. Before the Europeans came to the West, everybody had their own religion, if you want to call it that. If the religion was a rock or the water or the river or the rain or the sun or the moon, whatever their religion was before the Europeans come, that was their religion. And before Islam went into North Africa, everybody had a religion there already. So if you want, they call it whatever, the worshiping the sun or the moon. That was what they did back then. But
Yeah.
when the Arabs came, they came with a version of their religion and they push it on the people. And
Yeah.
so in America, when the Europeans came through the Catholic Church, they came and they pushed their form of religion and the people. So a lot of people in Central America, right, and South America, they're Catholics because they came with the conquistadors from Spain and from Portugal, and they were
Mm-hmm.
conditioning them with their Catholic Church religion. And then the British came and the Dutch came, and then the French, they came, they pushed their version of the Catholic religion, and they people that they are incarcerated and had working for them for 300-400 years. So can you imagine
Yeah.
generation of people working for some people, ain't got no proper food, ain't getting no proper nourishment. They're just working from sun up to sundown. They eventually adapted the ways of their slave master. So then they get so-called emancipated, and then they get so-called civil service. Like in America, I'm a civil servant. You're working for the slave master. You got to wake
Yeah.
up. And then you're eating the slave master food. You're praying to the slave master God. You're going to the slave master alcohol stores and buying his alcohol, his cigarettes. Everything that is produced by the colonial masters is happening today in 2023. And people are so sucked into that stuff. They buying that stuff and they're killing themselves. They even go to the slave master allopathic shit stem to get the
Uh-huh.
food, which is their drugs,
Uh-huh.
because they believe in them more than their ancestors and themselves. And so they're taking drugs for 25 years for high blood pressure, drugs for 25, 30 years for diabetes, drugs for inflammation, gout, arthritis, drugs all the time. And so what's
Mm-hmm.
happening? They're dying after a while.
Yeah.
They're sick for 25, 30 years on drugs. They're not running and exercising and they're not dancing and feeling good. You know, they're all
Yeah.
drugged up. And then they're still going to the so-called supermarket that ain't super, and buying the same food that take them to the doctor that make them sick.
Yeah.
They've been bamboozled, Adrian. They've been bamboozled, they've been had, they've been doped.
Yeah, I know.
The people
What
in
do you
America.
think, Baba? I have a question for you. What do you think about like the
Let me
structures
drink
of
a little bit of water.
family now?
Say that again.
So, because there's different ways that I think justice systems are not really working, for people. But and one of the ones that is actually one of my kind of principal ones, and I think because a lot of it starts there, like a lot of happiness is in there, is like the family systems, and like even like gender roles and just having like a family All of that, I even think that also the wisdom of that is also kind of lost, or has been rebelled against for some reason. And a lot of us have also been victims of that. And I do definitely think that he's affecting a lot of the population too, and it affects our health. Actually, one of the things that got me the most interested in the subject was because I read a book. It was 100 years plus, or something like, living until 100 years plus or something like that, but it was about these communities in other parts of the world that are a little bit more kind of like indigenous, like less civilized, you would say. And they lived longer periods of times, and one of the reasons it was because they had like strong communities, strong relationships, strong family systems. And they also had like other diets, but like the culture itself was just people, it was actually healthy. And that contributed a lot to the happiness and joy and just, well-being of people. And they lived longer and healthier because of that. And that really like kind of caught my mind and my interest in that specific subject, because I was like, okay, so if I want to live a healthy life, I gotta be good at relationships. Oh my God, I actually suck. So 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 what do I do?
Just love yourself.
Correct. Yes,
Love
correct. Work on
yourself. Like those,
myself.
those people,
And I
they
do
never
think a
use the
lot of
word
people
love,
don't know
but they
how
just
to do
love
that work
themselves.
either. So I just wanted to know, like, what do you think about it? What are your thoughts or opinions on that?
Love yourself. Love themselves. Yeah, a lot of people in society today, like in big cities like New York and LA and Paris and London and those places in Brazil, the capital cities, most countries have a lot of people are going. There's no farms there. There's only supermarkets and grocery stores, bodegas and stuff like that. Alcohol stores, alcohol factory there. They sell the sodas, the drinks, the food package, everything. And that's how people are living in a city. It's kind of like they live in a place where they all come prepackaged. The mind is prepackaged, the food is prepackaged. So a lot of people are eating foods in the city that a lot of people that are living in the country don't eat. So it has a effect on their mental state, their mental well-being.
That
A
too,
lot of
yeah.
people that are living in the cities are very lonely. A lot of people in the city don't have no food to eat.
That's true.
A lot of them are
That's
living
true.
in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
They're living in the streets. They're living in the cars. They don't have jobs. There's no money to pay their bills. Living in the cities is a money thing. It's all about money.
Yeah.
Retail business, health business, doctor's business, government offices, and all that kind of stuff. All the stuff is going on in the cities. It's
Mm-hmm.
people in the country, they're doing a lot better. So what's
Mm-hmm.
happening is that people are suffering from a lot of loneliness. So they just drink, drink, drink. They're committing suicide. When the winter comes, they kill themselves. They don't have nobody to talk to. When the holidays come, they don't have nobody to talk to. There's a lot of lonely people in the cities.
Yeah.
So a lot of them are depressed. They have mental issues.
Yeah.
They do a lot of
Mm-hmm.
crazy things to themselves and others. And there's not enough resources for them, or they don't know about the resources, and they just live in the car or just live in the streets or live in the parks or some stuff like that. There's a whole lot of
Yeah.
stuff now with the people in the city, so the people in the country living a better life. So in Brazil, they're looking to destroy the people that are living in the Amazon. They want to do things there that is against their lifestyle, the way their natural living with the earth, living with Mama Nature, staying grounded, getting the energy from the earth. You don't get food only from the supermarket or from the grocery store. You get food from the air. The air is food. The sun is food. It calms your nervous system down. It controls your blood pressure. It relaxes you. The sun, early morning
Yeah.
sun. The air you're breathing every day, and it goes into your lungs, it goes into your blood, it turns to ether, and then you breathe
Yeah.
out
And
yak.
even just taking a moment to just literally go outside, take a breathe, get a tiny bit of sun for a few minutes, that even makes a difference.
Can we cut off and start back?
No, no, why?
There's somebody at the door with stuff.
Oh, okay. Yes, I
What
can
time you have?
pause it. I can pause it, but I can't cut it off. I can pause it. You want to pause it?
Yeah, but you can start back right where you pause.
Yes.
All right, pause it.
We came back. Yes. Where were we?
We were talking about
Taking a moment to be in the sun and breathe air.
because that's food also.
Yeah.
The food don't come from the supermarket only. Your thoughts are your food. The way you think is
Mm-hmm.
nurturing to your body. Loving your body, nurturing it, getting massage, exercise, meditating, praying.
Yeah.
All this help with your spirit and your emotions and your mental well-being.
Yeah.
Positive affirmations. Talk
Yeah.
in a very loving and nurturing way.
We call it a holistic way of living.
Yeah, wellness, yeah. And loving kindness to yourself. The earth,
Yeah.
this earth can feed another 15, 20 billion people. This earth is so massive.
Mm-hmm.
So
You know what I've been thinking about? I think it's like if it is good, for the human body, it's good for me and it's good for everyone else. Like if it's good for the human body, it doesn't even have to be good for me. It has to be good for my body. If it's good for my body, okay, yeah, it's probably good for me, for like, other people too.
they call the animals out, you know.
Yeah.
They have some of them they call nocturnal, and the soul end the daytime animals eat the daytime food. The nighttime animals eat the nighttime food, like the panthers
Mm-hmm.
and the owl and all those things. They operate at night. And the ones that during the daytime, they operate during the day. But they don't go to no supermarket. They don't go to no grocery store. They don't go to no store to buy no water.
But we're humans, Baba. We're creative. We like to be creative. So
Yeah.
we created, these grocery stores. We just didn't know maybe the consequences. I don't know, but we
What we
just like
create
to
was
be
lacking.
creative.
We create lacking.
Yeah, we are.
We
We
create
are.
lacking.
We
So
are.
now you have the former organization, the Rockefellers and the cohorts started the World Health Organization. They started the IMF. They started the United Nations.
Yeah.
And they should be united because they still have another war going on in Ukraine, another war in Sudan, they had another war in Ethiopia. But United Nations, we have United Nations for, and the people not even united. And Russia is part of Europe. Ukraine is part of Europe. And they had this experience with World War One and
Mhm.
World War Two. America's part of Europe. It's just that it's way over here. We call
Mhm.
it North America. But the fact remains that they left there and came over here. They left there, went to New Zealand, went to Australia, and other parts of the world. And so it's the
Mhm.
same European people with the same mindset.
Yeah.
Why are they just killing each other like that all the time instead of loving each other, taking care of each other, and feeding each other? So it's called karma. So
Yeah.
they came and they created all of these isms and schisms. And so they control the food chain, the money chain, everything they're controlling. And so people want money to go and buy food. Before, nobody had no money to buy no food. The earth was giving you everything you need. And then they
It's just
launched,
a lot of work, Baba. It's just a lot of work, and people are lazy. We are lazy. No, not people. We, like humans.
I don't think people are,
Humans are just like, that's just like the body likes to be lazy too.
I think the system created a system where people feel that it's easy for me to just go and get some money and buy some food. But when they don't have the money to buy the food, some they're going to thief the food. And when they thief the food, they
Yeah.
lock them up and put them in jail. When they don't have money, they don't go work for the money. Sometimes they don't have the abilities to work for the money. The system might provide a little for some of them, but then they provide for everybody. And so
Uh-huh.
people go and steal things.
Mm-hmm.
This
And
society,
what about people that say, I don't like to work with
yeah,
my body? I just don't like working with my body. Because you have to like work with your body. I can't work with my body. I'm just, it's too much work on my body.
Well, you saw the body looking nice now. You wait till you reach 45, 55, and 65. You don't take care of that body right now. It's not going to take care of you. You have to love it now and take care of it. You got to give the right thoughts, the right food, the right rest, the right amount of water. Everything
Yeah.
you got to give it. You got to nurture it and
Yeah.
take care of it.
Yeah.
It's not going to take care of you. Body's going to take care of them unless they take care of it. Take care
Yeah.
of your body so your body will take care of you
Yeah.
in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think maybe we can close with that. I think that this was amazing. I think we have like a really good essence of this start, this new start, a new journey, and that I think a lot of people may consider for themselves of, just look into eating with the seasons, or consider just even just pay more attention. We don't even have to do the whole thing, we can just
Yeah.
start with, let's just pay more attention to, what we eat, and do a little bit of work on that front, because we can't nourish ourselves, and even just a whole holistic thing. You will liberate yourself even more and more. You will liberate yourself,
Yeah.
and that's
It's going
just
to take
good. It's
time.
good for the spirit. It's
It's
good
going
for,
to take time. It's
it's
going to
gonna
take
take
a
time.
lot of time. The
It
number
is
of
going to take time, but it's a worthy pursuit. Yes. And we're gonna put all Baba's information in the description of this recording video, or podcast, whatever you're listening or watching, in the body temple. And Baba, can we just have like a few words of wisdom that we can give people before living? Something to just, reflect on.
Don't be envious. Don't be jealous. Don't be covetous. Don't be hateful.
Mm.
Don't be angry. Just give thanks every rising, every morning, and every set, every night for what you accomplish every day, even if it's just one thing. And do it with a good heart. Do everything with a good heart. Wish well for everyone, wherever they might be, locally or globally. Love yourself. If you haven't learned to love yourself, start learning to love yourself. Look in the mirror. Thank your heart. Thank your liver. Thank your liver, your kidneys, your lungs, your digestive system, your eyes, your fingers, your joints, your muscles, all your organ and glandular systems, all your cellular systems. Thank your body is a machinery, is an awesome machine.
Yeah, it is.
Living there. Thank you for taking care of you. Thank you for wanting keeping you alive. Thank you for looking out for you. And you do the same thing for it. Don't abuse it. Don't disrespect it with alcohol, with food, with sex, with negative thinking, hateful thinking. Forgive yourself for any wrongs that you might have done to yourself, and you allow others to do to you, and allow others to have done to themselves. Forgive them, forgive yourself. Love your elders, love your parents, love yourself, love your children, love your brothers and sisters, and love your community. That's the word we're using now today in modern times. So your
Yeah.
action would speak louder than words. So let your actions guide you to just doing good, and keep doing good, and keep doing good. Give thanks. Loving kindness. Yes, acts of loving kindness to yourself and others. Baba P. Peace out.
Namaste.
Yeah.
Thank you, Baba.
Thank you.
Thank you.